Hi, welcome to Project Geospatial. I'm Adam Siemens here at the GEOINT 2025 Symposium in St. Louis, Missouri. This round I had the pleasure of talking with Carter Christopher from Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, sir, let's get started with learning a little bit about you and how you got involved with the industry.
Oh, wow. It's been a long journey. I would say I've been in the industry for approaching 25 years. Cut my teeth wearing stereo goggles in a dark office in Mississippi at Stennis Space Center, digitizing maps of far-off lands. And in the process, got a graduate degree in geography, and since then have spent my entire career supporting geospatial, GEOINT, and national security through a geospatial lens. So from that job, I worked in the private sector and did mapping, engineering, project management, data collection for the Army Corps of Engineers, state and local. Transitioned to be an NGA government employee, and at NGA, I had the opportunity to really help the agency modernize in a lot of ways, starting with, on the training side, my first job at NGA was teaching soldiers around the world how to use, U.S. soldiers around the world, how to use GIS and do geospatial analysis. And so we built Python courses, we built advanced geospatial modeling courses. I went and got a PhD at some point during that process, and helped NGA stand up their first data science organization, helped NGA with cloud modernization, leading that activity, led their applied R&D shop for Foundation GEOINT, and then had the privilege to go and support Dr. Lee Schwartz, the geographer of the United States at State Department, and be his deputy for a little bit.
That's awesome.
Following that, decided to take a break from being a federal employee, and I found my way to Oak Ridge National Laboratory, where I led the human dynamics research portfolio there, and just recently, in January of this year, I took over as the division director for geospatial science and human security. So in this role, in my current role, I get to oversee all of the geospatial science activities at the lab. And so it's a real privilege to be with that organization and be affiliated with the great history and science that it's known for, but to be able to do so from a geospatial perspective and support national security and the broader federal government.
Well, speaking about Oak Ridge, can you tell us a little bit about who they are and what they actually do? Because I think a lot of people just don't realize they're even a part of the government.
Yeah, so Oak Ridge National Laboratory is a part of the U.S. Department of Energy. It is the Department of Energy's largest open science laboratory. And by open science, what I mean by that is we cover everything from nuclear physics, and where we help to push forward the future for energy with energy fusion and energy fission. We are leaders in creating medical isotopes from materials that are transitioned into the medical community for cancer drugs.
Right.
We have now the second largest, second fastest computer in the United States, Frontier. Just last year, we got overtaken by one of our colleagues in the DOE complex in computing. But so we do a broad range of science that supports open science within the United States, but with a strong footprint in the national security community as well. And that's where, from a geospatial science perspective, we have a lot of our focus.
Awesome. So let's rope around a little bit more specifics about your involvement into what you do for the community. It's not just about defense and intel. It's not just about supporting. You support a lot of what the other federal civil agencies do as well, right? Across channels, especially as you and I have talked about it before, especially as it relates to projects like with geodesy and things like that too, right?
That's correct. We have our biggest federal civilian partner is obviously Department of Energy. As a Department of Energy lab, we have the opportunity and privilege to help them address the nation's energy problems, and that includes one of our projects in that space is we maintain the geospatial inventory of all of the nation's energy data, and so all the substations, all the dams, all of the power generation, transmission towers and lines. All of that is managed at Oak Ridge and delivered as a part of the broader critical infrastructure stack that makes data stack that makes up the data that DHS manages for the nation. We also work in critical infrastructure mapping for DHS and building some really bespoke and highly curated data sets that aren't available in the open or in the public space, in the commercial space.
Does that contribute to the Highfeld database?
It does.
Yeah.
It goes right in there. One example that I like to use is child care facilities. There is no national database other than the one that we've built for child care facilities in the United States. And we like to think that if there's ever a disaster in the United States during the day, the first place that parents are going to go is pick up their kids from the child care facility.
It's ironic you say that, because I think most people gravitate towards hospitals and clinics, but really you think that where are my children when something goes on would be really important on people's minds, and it is.
Sure.
Well, how can we keep track of those as critical infrastructure too, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. But you also does that also relate to probably new and emerging critical infrastructures in the last couple decades, especially things like data centers, right? Those are something new, especially relates to evolving technology. There's new types of critical infrastructure that's evolving that's probably overlaps with some of the energy stuff you're doing too.
Absolutely. Data centers are a really interesting challenge that we as a nation are dealing through and managing right now. We just started a new program with the Department of Energy where we are helping DOE and as well as state energy offices to understand the impacts of data centers within their backyard, because as data centers proliferate, which is a natural consequence of the push toward AI, but also the general prevalence of computing in our day-to-day lives, these data centers go into communities and they have huge energy demands. And so
Right.
DOE and the utilities and the state energy offices need to understand what are those energy demands, how do they manage that, how do they ensure that as data centers provide all the services that we need them to provide as a society, that they don't negatively impact the local community from an energy cost perspective, but also from an environmental perspective, because to run those big computers, you need to cool them, and to cool them, you usually need a lot of water.
Especially as a lot of counties and states are offering data center subsidies to come and populate the area because they see it as a money opportunity. But forget about the secondary impact on their energy grid, and that the cost is moving someplace else, and it's more incurring on the counties, right, in the states.
Well, and from our role as the national lab in that discussion is to bring our expertise to the discussion about that, and we have tools, we have data, we have understanding of data centers, and we have understanding of energy, and so we can help all players in that discussion understand what those impacts are going to be. And it's not our role to be involved in the policy discussions or the decisions around that, but from a data analysis and technical assistance perspective, we have an opportunity to ensure that everybody has a full understanding of the impacts and the opportunities.
Okay, well, as we wrap up here, I want to ask you a couple more questions related to, you have a big presence in the open source community. That seems to be really, really important to you. Can you talk about your involvement in the open source community, why open source technology within the geospatial ecosystem is important, and perhaps what the involvement of Oak Ridge is in that ecosystem too?
For a long time, I've really been a believer in open source technology. I think that there's so much more we can do as a community of contributors than we can as individuals, and I think open source is an excellent medium to making that happen. At Oak Ridge National Lab, we contribute, as an open science lab, we contribute a lot to the open science community, and that's peer-reviewed publications, that's data, that's code. And so, not only do I believe in it, but we live in that space. One of the data sets that we deliver as an open data set for the community is our Landscan global population data set. This is something that we deliver annually into the federal government, but it's also released under a Creative Commons license for the research community, for anyone in the public to be able to use and integrate into their software applications. We have been, as a part of our support to DOE, we manage more or less a real-time tracking of power outages in the United States, and we release that data with some lag into the open as well, and it's used for research. It's used for all kinds of analytics to help understand how we can improve energy resilience within communities, and so big believer in it. I try to make sure that our teams have the ability and support to engage the open source community, contribute to code, and build on top of that code so that we can all benefit from it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. Any last minute words you like our audience to understand of who Oak Ridge National Laboratory is? Maybe some important, maybe something that they don't know that you do, and it's important that everybody knows.
I like to say that Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and maybe it's a general statement about all the national labs, but I can speak to Oak Ridge, is that we operate in a very special place between the basic science of academia and the commercial production of industry. And when you think about innovation, there's often talk of the valley of death, and we accelerate the ability to get over that valley of death, to scale basic research and apply it, in our case for missions, for the national security mission, to make science happen for the government. So that's centered on computing. It's centered on AI, and it's I think really differentiates us from what others within this community are doing, and allows us to help raise the boat, raise the tide for everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for telling us your insights about yourself and Oak Ridge National Laboratory. I appreciate it. And as we wrap up, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll talk to everybody next time.